my name is Jess and welcome back to my channel. Okay guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing great today. And for today's video, I decided to put together my favorite top like pumpkin DIYs that I have been made throughout the years. They're made of Dollar Tree items and things that I just have around my home. And you guys, you know that pumpkins sometimes can be, depending on the size, they can be a little bit expensive. So I love to DIY them myself, creating some textures on them and patterns and different colors to match my decor. And I just hope that this video helps you to get inspired. And if you like them, please say big thumbs up. Let me know which of these pumpkins ideas is your favorite, and make sure that you're subscribed and hit the bell to get notified every single time that I'm going to be uploading new videos. And make sure to follow me on all my social media pages, my webpage, and my other channel, Jazomy Home. All the links are always in the description box of every single video. Yeah, let's get started. Okay guys, so for the first project, I'm going to be using this big foam pumpkin from Dollar Tree. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is to make 2 holes in the top and the bottom of the pumpkin with a knife. And I decided to make the holes because I think that it's going to be easier to cover this pumpkin as I want, and it's going to look better at the end. Before styling my pumpkin, I'm going to give it 2 coats of paint with my Revoli chalk paint in plaster color, and then let it dry very well. And I choose this paint color because it is the closest to the clothesline robe that I'm going to be using. As I said, I'm going to use a clothesline robe for styling my pumpkin, and I bought this one at Walmart for a very good price. And you can use these, or maybe you can use the white nautical robe from Dollar Tree if you find it. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is to cut 3 pieces of rope, and I'm going to add hot glue on one side so that all pieces are glued together, and you can start making a braid with the rope. I'm going to be making braids that have 3 pieces of rope like this one, but I'm also going to be making braids that have 6 pieces of rope, and it will look super cool. You just have to glue one side of all the pieces of rope together with hot glue, and then just start braiding. And then at the end, you must put a little bit of hot glue again to make sure that it does not come off. I'm going to be doing these 2 types of braids several times to be able to cover my pumpkin, and you can make like 12 braids of each style, just to make sure that you have enough to cover your pumpkin. From there, you just have to stick the braids from side to side of the pumpkin, and you can insert the sides of the braid inside of the holes of the pumpkin, so that way it's going to be stronger and more secure, and the shape of the pumpkin is going to look better. I'm going to be applying the braids, creating a pattern. I'm going to stick the thin braid, and then I'm going to stick the double braid, then a thin braid, and then a double braid, and so until the entire pumpkin is covered. Once you finish, this is how your pumpkin will look like. And of course, you can add a stem, and I decided to put this one. It is from Dollar Tree, and once I stick that with hot glue, I decide to put 2 metal leaves from other pumpkins that I just have from Dollar Tree, and I paint them with a copper color. And that will be all, guys. Once you finish, this will be the result of the first project, and I just love how it looks. I love the color of the rope, and I love the pattern of the braids. I'm going to be using these Dollar Tree foam pumpkin, and the first thing I did was to make a hole in the center, in the top of the pumpkin with my knife. I want that my pumpkin look super modern, so I decided to use my black chalk paint, and I paint the whole pumpkin and then let it dry very well. From there, I decide to add some texture by gluing a piece of U-twine around the pumpkin and then stick a small bow with hot glue. Finally, guys, you can place flowers or greenery as I did, and this will be the result. Guys, Dollar Tree also sells similar pumpkins already with flowers or like fall leaves, and you can use that and paint them just to give it that more neutral and modern look. It will look so good, and it is super easy to make and budget friendly. Using this wooden pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, and the first thing I did was to remove the raffia bow and the tag. I'm going to be using the back of this project, the back part of this sign. So the first thing I did was to fill in that small hole that has the sign with a little bit of sparkling from Dollar Tree. From there, I will be painting my pumpkin, and for that I'm going to be using my Robinhood chalk paint in plaster color. While the plaster paint is still wet, you can use a bit of wax just to highlight the edges, the stem, and all the details that a pumpkin has, just to give it more dimension, and it will look much better. Once the paint was dry, I really want to recreate this amazing pumpkin pie recipe. I don't know, it is super expensive, and they sell these in Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Kirkland's. So I decided to recreate these, and I made a decal as similar as possible with my Cricut, and I stick it very carefully on my sign. The last step would be to place a small bow that I made just to add a nice detail, and this will be the result, guys. I really love how this pumpkin look, and I love the colors and all the details that this decal has. It was a little bit challenging to do, but I love how it turned out. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign, and the first thing I did was to separate the two pumpkins that are tied. For this project, I'm only going to use the big pumpkin that is like a silhouette, and you can see that is full cover of glitter. So in order to work with that, I'm going to be using my sanding sponge, and I'm going to sand all the pumpkin to remove all that glitter. The bad thing about this project is that you ended up with a disaster in your work area with all the glitter, and in order to clean that, I'm going to be using my mini ladybug vacuum that works perfect and cleans everything very quickly. And in the description box of this video, you can find the link of this product, just in case that you are interested. From there, I decided to cover the holes that it has in the design with a little bit of sparkling. Then I sand it, and then I give it one coat of the wax paint in antique color on both sides of the sign and let it dry. Okay, for the background of the pumpkin, I decided to use this Dollar Tree sink mat that I love, and I'm going to place the pumpkin on the top to be able to mark the silhouette and then cut the sink mat. Once you have everything cut and you have the shape of your pumpkin, you can paint your zinc matte piece. And for that, I'm going to be using my Waverly chalk paint in black color, and I give it 2 coats of paint to make sure it covers well. Once the paint dries, you can glue your zinc matte with your sign with hot glue. For a final touch, and I think it will look so cool, I'm going to put this small bow that I made with the clothesline rope, or maybe you can stick a little bit of greenery, or maybe like a metal foil sign that says maybe thankful, welcome. It will look so good, and that will be all. Guys, this will be the result of the projects, and I love the colors and the pattern and the high-end looking. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign, and I'm going to be removing the painted burlap fabric layer just to have a smooth surface. Then I decide to use this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby that looks like wood, and I'm going to cut just a piece to be able to stick in to get on the pumpkin sign with Mod Podge. Then I give him another Mod Podge layer because I want that my piece have a protective coat, and after everything dries, you can cut the edges of the pumpkin. To add texture to my project, I'm going to be using this youth cord from Walmart, and I'm going to be sticking that around the stem and gluing it with hot glue. To highlight the edges of the pumpkin and give it some character, I will be using burnt umber paint, and with a sponge I will be creating like a weather look around. Once everything is dry, I decide to use this Dollar Tree sticker set, and I will stick the word that says thankful on the center of my pumpkin. From there, I used this buffalo check ribbon, and I made a small bow, and I put it on the pumpkin stem, and I just love the contrast of patterns and textures. This pumpkin sign has a small pumpkin glue previously, and I just decided that it will look amazing if I glue it back but with another pattern. So I use my buffalo check ribbon. I cut 2 small pieces, and then I glue them on the pumpkin with Mod Podge, and then I put another coat of Mod Podge, make sure that everything was dry, and I cut all the edges to make sure that I have the shape of the pumpkin. Finally, you just have to stick that buffalo check pumpkin on one side of the sign, and that will be it, guys. It is a super easy DIY that looks completely different and beautiful. The next project is super easy to do. You're going to need this reindeer moss from Dollar Tree, or any moss that you like the most, and you must put it in a container and cut it into many small pieces that make the process a little bit easier. Now the idea is to use a pumpkin, any one that you have. This one is from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cover it with moss completely, and the fastest way is to fill the pumpkin with hot glue in sections and place it inside the bowl with the Mod moss so that it sticks. Once everything is covered with moss, to make sure that you can see all the details that a pumpkin has, like the ribs, I'm going to be gluing pieces of jute cord with hot glue. At the top where all the jute cord pieces come together, I tied a knot and then I glue a stem with hot glue. And guys, this will be the result of my third project, and I love how it looked because it gives it a neutral touch that works perfect for any style of decoration that you have at home, and it is a very unique piece. I'm going to be using this beautiful wooden pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, and the first thing I did was to remove the raffia bow and the tag. To paint it, I'm going to be using my Waverly Wax in Antique color, but I'm going to be painting this pumpkin sign very carefully only on the edges of the pumpkin. So if you want, maybe you can put a piece of tape to avoid painting any area that you don't want. Once the paint was dry, this is how your pumpkin sign will look like. And now I want to create something nice to add it, and for that I'm going to be using these wooden beads that I bought from Amazon, and I'm going to be painting them in black color. The package brings 300 beads in 2 different sizes for a very good price, guys. So in the description box of this video, I'm going to be leaving you the Amazon link of where you can get them. Once the beads are dry, I'm going to be placing them in these Dollar Tree jute twine. I want to create like a small tag instead of a tassel, so I use one of these wooden nickels. They are from Hobby Lobby, and I just painted in black color. Once it is dry, I'm going to make a small hole with my drill to be able to tie it to the jute twine. Guys, you can write something, you can maybe put stickers. I decided to make a decal with my Cricut and I stick it on my tag. Finally, I just hang this mini garland from the pumpkin sign, and I also decide to stick the raffia bow with hot glue. Once you finish, guys, this will be the result of the first project, and I really love it because it is very easy to do and have a very high-end looking. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign that I had from last year, and the first thing I did was to remove the small pumpkin that was attached, the bow, and this burlap fabric piece with which is covered. After that, you will end up with a lot of glitter. So with my sanding sponge, I decided to sand the sign very well, and then I use my mini ladybug vacuum to collect all the mess. I talked about this vacuum before, and I just want to let you know that works amazing, and I bought it on Amazon, and in the description box you can find the link of where you can get it if you are interested. Okay, once you have a smooth surface on your sign, you can give it 2 coats of chalk paint in white color and let it dry very well. I want to create a pattern of many lines in black color, and you can use maybe a black marker and a ruler, but just to make the process even easier and to make sure that it's going to look amazing, I bought these super thin black tape from Amazon, and I start to cut and glue pieces and just glue them all over the pumpkin. Guys, I used this same tape to create my faux shiplap wall in my living room, and it works super well. So in the description you can also find the link of this product. It is super cheap, you can get so many tapes, and it works amazing. To make sure that the tape does not go off from my pumpkins, I decided to give him one coat of these Mod Podge over the sign and then dry it with my heat tool. Once everything is super dry, with my knife I cut all the pieces of tape that came out of the sign to give it the shape of the pumpkin and make it look perfect. Okay, now I'm going to be working on the other part of this project. So for that I use this other pumpkin sign that is a little bit smaller but wider, and I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to remove the burlap fabric, the bow, and this time I'm going to be removing the base of this sign, and then I'm going to sand all down to have a smooth surface. From there I give him 2 coats of this metallic copper spray paint and let it dry very well, and as I tell you, you can find the link of this copper paint in the description box. Now this part is optional. You can draw something, you can paint it by hand, you can use a stencil or a decal as I did with my Cricut Joy, and then just stick it in the center of the pumpkin. In the stem, I decided to put a bow that I made with this burlap fabric piece that you can get from Dollar Tree, just to add more color and more texture, and I love how it looks. And finally, you can glue this copper pumpkin next to the other pumpkin with hot glue. My loves, this will be the result. It is a super easy DIY. It looks amazing with a high-end looking, using the signs that you can get from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using 2 of these Dollar Tree ceramic pumpkins that I had about 2 years ago, and I'm going to give them a new look, and I'm going to be changing the color with my spray paint in metallic copper color, and I give these pumpkins 2 coats of paint and let them dry very well. I get this copper spray paint on Amazon, and I leave you the link in the description box. Once my pumpkins are dry, I decide to change the stem color for a lighter one using my chalk paint in plaster color, and I give him like 2 coats on the stems, but very careful to not paint the rest of the pumpkins. Once done, guys, this will be the result of my pumpkins, and they will look absolutely amazing with a high-end looking, and they are perfect. They match the rest of my fall theme decor for this year, and I'm super happy. I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree wire, and I'm going to cut long pieces that I can fold in half. I will also use these wooden beads again, and as I said, I leave you the Amazon link in the description box of this video of where you can get them. What I did was to put 20 beads on each piece of wire. The wire is folded, so you need to have 10 beads on each side. Guys, for this project you are going to need a total of 100 beads, and I think it's a better option if you buy them from Amazon. It has this beautiful natural wooden color, because if you use the ones from Dollar Tree, you have to paint them, and it is going to be so much work and more money. So I prefer to use these wooden beads from Amazon. Once you have all of your pieces ready with the beads, you must join them at the bottom with another small piece of wire. From there, you can try to arrange the wires with the beads to form your pumpkin, but it is much easier if you put a support on it. So for that, I will use 2 of these wooden nickels that we used before. They are from Hobby Lobby, and I will place and stick on each side of the pumpkin where all the wires are attached. I hope that makes sense and you can see what I'm doing. Guys, this way you're going to have a support for your pumpkin to stand still. From there, I have to work with the top of the pumpkin, and in order to work with all the wires, I'm going to be using another wooden nickel, and I make a hole in the center of this piece with my drill. Now I'm going to pass all the wires throughout the hole, and then I'm going to stick another wooden nickel from the other side of the pumpkin. And guys, at the same time, you must move all the wires with the beads to form your pumpkin to have that shape that you want before the glue dries. Once that all these pieces and the beads look like a pumpkin and they are dry, you can cut the wire on the top. From there, you just have to put a stem on this pumpkin. This one is from Dollar Tree, and I made a small hole to be able to stick it on the top of the pumpkin, and then you can also put a few leaves to give it a nice touch. My loves, this will be the result of our project, and I think it's one of my favorites. It looks super beautiful, and you can also put a battery candle inside of the pumpkin, and that will look super cool. I'm going to be using this big pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be removing the leaf and the bow that is attached on the stem. From there, I will use the back part of the sign that has no glitter, just because it is a smooth surface, and I will give it one coat of spray paint in metallic silver color. Once it is dry, I really want to give it a galvanized look to my pumpkin sign, so to make it look rustic, I'm going to be using some gray paint, and with a brush, I'm going to be painting, creating spots on the entire surface. And then I just did the same but with the white paint to make it look more real. From there, I want to create a slotted look in my galvanized pumpkin, and it is super easy to do. You just need a ruler and a thick black marker and start drawing broke lines throughout the pumpkin. Once you finish, you can mark a little bit more all the details that the pumpkin is supposed to have, like these 2 lines in the center, and then with some burnt umber paint, I'm going to give it a weather look, just like we did in the first project. And also I'm going to be adding that paint on the black lines to make sure that the slotted look looks more rustic and real. I wanted to put some leaves next to the stem of the pumpkin, so I used like 4 leaves and I paint them with the same burnt umber paint, and then I just glue them on the top of the pumpkin with hot glue along with a buffalo check bow that I made. I wanted to put a small sign on this pumpkin that said welcome. So for that, I decided to use this metal one from Dollar Tree, and I just cut the part that says welcome and I painted using the same burnt umber paint. I glue a piece of white paper on the back of the sign just to make sure that the letters pop out a little bit more. And finally, I glue that metal sign to the center of my pumpkin. And guys, this will be my slotted galvanized pumpkin. It looks super real with a high-end looking, and I just love how it turned out. I'm going to be using one of these foam pumpkins that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I want to make a raffia pumpkin. So the first step will be to paint the pumpkin in a color that looks similar to the raffia. Once it is dry, I will be using these natural raffia from Dollar Tree, and I think I used about 1.5 packages to cover all my pumpkin. And the first thing I will be doing is to be separating raffia by bunches that are about 10 inches long and tie a knot on one side. After you have the knot, you can start braiding the raffia and sticking hot glue on the end so they don't come loose. Once you have several raffia braids, you can start sticking them in the pumpkin from side to side with hot glue until you completely cover the pumpkin, and just being very careful not to burn your fingers. From there, you just have to heat a leaf that you have. This one is a metal leaf that I have from another pumpkin, and I just stick it on the top, and I also stick a small stem in the center, and that will be it. And now you have a raffia pumpkin that looks amazing. It has a really good size, and you can do it with like $2 or $3 using things from Dollar Tree. And I'm so happy how it looks. I hope that you like and enjoy and have fun in today's video, guys. Please let me know in the comments which project was your favorite, and make sure that you give me a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell, and share this video with friends and family. And you're welcome to follow me on my social media pages. All the links are going to be in the description box of this video, and see you on my next video. Bye guys.